Let's talk about Jalen Milroe. Kirby Smart was asked about him, and he said, hey, no offense to Tim Tebow. Okay, no offense to Tim Tebow. Anytime you say no offense at the beginning of your thing, what you're saying is this is a tough comparison, and this guy may be better. He said 2 different running styles. Then he says Lamar Jackson, he's just bigger, more physical, and everything like that. When you hear others talking about the quarterback that you've seen develop this year, from being benched to where he is now, how does that make you feel? And what do you think you're going to see from Jalen Milroe this weekend against this Georgia Bulldog defense?
Well, I hate to use a term that he was ever benched. I think it was an opportunity to see what other players could do because we struggled a little early in the year.
Okay.
Because he responded the right way and worked on trying to become a better player at his position to be able to distribute the ball to the players so that they could make plays and not think that he just had to make plays. And I think, you know, he's a great ad-lib guy when it comes to the play breaking down and being able to ad-lib because he is a great athlete. He is fast. He is physical. But he's got a great instinct for that. And I think that's what makes him, you know, most dangerous. But he's also a good passer. And he's become a very good processor of reading coverage and throwing the ball to the right guy. So all these things have contributed to, you know, his transformation as a player, our transformation as an offensive team, because of, you know, the production that we're getting from the quarterback position and the execution we're getting from that position. And I think that's elevated the confidence of everybody on the offensive team.
Yeah, I love watching him play. He is so much fun because one weekend he can go for 4 rushing touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And then 4th and goal from the 31, he can put it into a bucket if he needs it. It's been fun to watch him develop. Just a redshirt sophomore, by the way. A lot of years left. Yeah. A lot of development still potentially out there. Go ahead, AJ.
Coach, can you talk about Milroe's kind of progression as a leader? It seems like when you watch your team play, like they seem to, the team responds very, very well to Milroe, and he seems to have a good feel for the game. Never seems too big for him, and guys seem to respond and really like him. Have you seen that kind of grow over the course of this season?
I don't think there's any question about it. I think with his confidence, the confidence that the players around him had, and how excited and enthusiastic they were about playing. And then, you know, Jalen has a great personality, so he's well liked by his teammates. And then because of his performance, I think it developed into this tremendous respect and trust, which is always, you know, a great indicator of someone with great personality that has this respect and trust of his teammates. You know, that's what makes you a really good leader, and people will follow you. And I think he's had a real positive impact on all the players on our team.
He's we see him laugh, and then after that Auburn game was the first time I've seen like the Heisman gimme that thing. And I loved watching him kind of develop into who he is this year. Let's talk about the team that you got to face on Saturday in the SEC Championship down there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Cannot wait to be down there and get a chance to feel the energy. Obviously, it's different down there, and this is the 2 teams that everybody assumes and thinks is going to be playing against each other in this particular game. When you look at the other side, whenever you look at Georgia, Carson Beck, you two are kind of similar, you know. Beginning of the year, nobody really knows what they're going to be. Brand new quarterback, Jalen Milroe. How are we doing? Are we playing our best football? Develop. Now Carson Beck is like 300 yards a game. Lad McConkey's healthy. Brock Bowers is out there. What do you see from this Georgia team that you guys have been, I don't want to say worried about, but thinking about? And what do you expect from their offensive side and Carson Beck this weekend?
I think this is the most dynamic offense we've had to face all year long because, A, they have great balance. They got a good offensive line. They got good runners. They can run the ball. Then Carson Beck is an outstanding quarterback, really makes good decisions, quick decisions, get the ball out of his hand, hadn't been sacked much. And then he's got some mismatched players down the field. You mentioned both of them that are hard to guard. They do a great job from a scheme standpoint, you know, putting those guys in positions where they have opportunities to make plays, and they've made them, tons of them. And this is a really, really good offensive football team all the way around. I mean, run, pass, play action pass, taking shots down the field. I mean, they're really well tied together, and they do a good job of executing. These guys are really well coached, and they got good players. and they execute well.
Both teams seem to have a very blue-collar mentality. Had to get better this year. Different than years past. Can't wait for it. Feel like it's all adding up to a big one down in Atlanta. Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, speaking of the blue-collar mentalities, I assume that's because of you and Kirby. And when we were down in Georgia, Kirby talked about you with great respect and kind of like your friendship. I wanted to ask, like, how is your current relationship? Will you talk before the game? Do you talk after the game? What is yours and Kirby's current relationship?
Well, it's great. I think, I'm not one. I don't think that, we do a lot of talking during the season. I don't spend much time on the phone during the season. I don't think he does either, besides recruiting. And, but I think there's a tremendous admiration and respect. I mean, Kirby worked with us for 10, 11 years. And, came up through the ranks as a really good assistant coach to becoming a coordinator, to get a head coaching job. And in each one of those venues of his responsibility, he did an outstanding job. I mean, he did a great job when he was here. You have a guy with you for that long. Your wife's in the hospital with his wife when she's having kids. I mean, so it's a long-term relationship that when you got to play against each other, he's a great competitor. I respect that. And we have a tremendous admiration and respect for each other. And, I truly like Kirby because I really appreciate all that he did to help our program be successful for so many years, and certainly respect what he's been able to accomplish as a head coach at Georgia. I mean, winning 29 games in a row, I mean, that is unbelievable. I mean, really. I mean, we won 19 games in a row twice here, and that was really, really hard to keep your players sort of doing the things they need to do. Don't allow any complacency and all those things to creep into their preparation and how they go about their work. And he's done a phenomenal job. And friendship is great, but respect professionally is even greater.
Your coaching tree is pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Coaching tree is pretty good. You should take a lot of pride in that. I assume you do. At some point, you'll look back upon the amount of lives you've changed, schools you've changed, programs you've changed. And this weekend, we'll get a chance to see a little bit of branch on tree crime, potentially. Go ahead, AJ.
Coach, does playing in a so-called neutral site like this game is, I know you've been a part of a lot of these, I'm sure some of your players obviously as well, does it present any kind of unique challenges for you as a coach and your team?
I think it's a little different probably playing indoors. That's probably the biggest difference. We all have indoor facilities, so you've been practicing outside all year, and then all of a sudden you're practicing inside, and it's a little bit different. But I think if you're a competitor and you're focused on what's happening on the field's going to be 53 yards wide and 100 yards deep, whether it's inside, outside, on turf, not on turf. So, again, you got to focus the passion on the execution of the play and be able to do what you do better than the guy that you're playing against. And you're going to be playing against probably the best player you played against all year. So that's really, kind of my message to what we need to do and what we have to do. And I don't think the circumstances of where we play should have a big impact on that.
Coach, it's a really cool stadium. The Ludacris dropped down from the sky last week. It's really in the top. It has like I don't want to, for lack of a better term. Sorry, I apologize for my youth. It's kind of like the way it opens up is an interesting manner. You know what I mean? It's like a balloon knot almost. It's a good, beautiful stadium. Beautiful stadium down there. Coach Pagano has a question for you about coaching.
Hey, Coach, I know these are two teams. You just talked about Kirby. Two teams that know each other very, very well. From a game plan standpoint, strategy standpoint, to counteract that, do you go and try to do things maybe a lot different, some different, or do you just say, hey, look, they are who they are, we are who we are, and you just go play the game? Because I've overcooked it. I've changed signals. I've done all sorts of stuff going up against Brady or going up against Manning, et cetera, et cetera. But what do you think on that, Coach?
I think if you change too much, first of all, you got to adapt what you do to what they do. All right, so that's some change in and of itself that the players have to go through. And I think if you change too much, two things can happen. One, the players can look at you and say, why don't you think we can go play well enough in what we know and what we've been doing to be able to execute in this game and do a good job. Why we have to change everything. I mean, so you're dealing with that psychological aspect of it. But the second part of it is you want to put your players in the best position relative to what they got. So you have to tweak some things to be able to do it. And, we all, as coaches, we look at the games that they played and we say they had issues with this, so maybe we should, try to do that. And I think you do a little bit of that, but not more than the players can actually handle in terms of the execution, because you got to adjust this stuff out against everything they might do. And if you want to focus on execution, you may not be able to get that done as well as you'd like to.
I think that's my favorite part, and AJ, you'll probably agree to this. This is just another game. This is just another game. With that being said, change everything. Hey, we need a whole new line. It is. Coaches and players are like, wait a minute, what? Okay, this is not another game, clearly. Let's talk about this game. You're going to win another SEC championship, okay? That's the goal. That's the mission. I don't know if you've paid attention to the conversation much outside of that, but if you guys go in there and win, and I'm obviously just 2 years into this entire world and not nowhere near understanding how it works, but learning of it. They're saying you guys win, maybe no SEC representation in the college football playoff. Is that something you've heard? How do you compartmentalize that going into such a big game? And what are your opinions on that even being a real thing that's happening right now?
Well, I think, first of all, I haven't paid a lot of attention to it because, we don't really control that. We have no control over that. We have control over how we play, how we execute, how we prepare our team, and that's where our focus is. I think there should be some representation from the SEC, regardless of who wins the game. Absolutely. I think this is one of the best leagues, in the country. And if you're a one-loss team and you play through this league, I think you're one of the best 4 teams in the country. So there's some kind of way there should be representation, some kind of way, because of the league itself and the competition in the league. So, but I don't pay a lot of attention to it because we can't control it, and I don't really want our players to pay attention to it either. I want them to focus on what they have to do to play well and have a chance to be successful in this game and have a chance to win the SEC championship. That's the opportunity they created for themselves.
I love that, and I can't wait to talk to you next week, depending upon what happens here. You are the man. Thank you for allowing us to ride this season alongside of you, and good luck to the boys on Saturday in Atlanta.
Hey, I appreciate it.